feels like it's taken quite an effort to record, even though it's much needed. And I was going to record a little video last night, but I thought it might be easier just to record everything in one go. I was having a difficult time last night, so I was half thinking, okay, perhaps I can just do a 10-minute video just to help. Just talking about it may help. Maybe I'll just mention some things that have happened today, briefly. I find it really difficult to get my day started, and a part of that is just the effort and things that have happened several days ago, just a lot of a lot of overtaxing and just having to manage as best as I can. And I just finished making something for lunch. I haven't really eaten much today. Now these old, I say old, but these kind of instant packet of sort of grains and quinoa and things, and I had another sort of packet of like sort of ready-made lentils, and you can kind of put them in a little bit of water and simmer them for a few minutes, and I managed to make that for lunch, and it was strange. I felt such a relief afterwards, and almost like it was a big achievement to do that. I think I was just struggling to really decide or figure out what to have food-wise, and then I find sometimes time kind of just goes on and it's easier not to make a decision, even though something so basic as, oh, I need to eat, and I just felt more paralysed. And so being able to sort of build myself up to do that, or after doing it, I felt such relief, thinking, oh, I'm so glad I managed to do that. Or it was a sense of an achievement in almost sort of saying to myself, oh, well done for doing that. That's like a big deal. Not a big deal in I guess a huge way, but just maybe in terms of importance. Oh, it's important that you had a meal that you needed to have. I ordered some food last night for dinner, and it took me several attempts to do that. I think over the weeks I've tried to order food. I have just not been able to do it. Like, I either go to the website, I get to or then I stop there, or I get to add it to like the basket and figure out what I want, and then still there's something that's too overwhelming. And then so same happened last night. There was lots of uncertainty about, like, I thought to myself, oh, perhaps maybe I can order some food, and there's lots of foggy thinking around that. And I got onto the website and browsed what there was, and sort of made a decision, even though I wasn't sure if that's really what I felt like, or I didn't have much of an appetite. And then I stopped, and then I started again, and then maybe I think I added it to the basket, and then I just couldn't confirm the order. So, and there was just so much uncertainty. Like, I had no idea whether I would be able to follow through this process or not. yeah, and it's a bit of a strange place sometimes, not sort of knowing, not trusting in yourself, thinking, no idea if I can fully do this or not, and you always have to sort of discover. It's only after I put confirmed order, I processed it. It's like, oh, okay, I've actually ordered that food, and I need to, see, make sure my phone is close by if they call and things like that. But it's almost a bit of a surprise to me when, just like cooking some of those lentils and grains today, it was afterwards, oh God, it's such a, I had no idea whether I would be able to sort of do that today. So the last few days I've been spending with some family members, and it's just been extremely taxing for me. And it was a situation where I couldn't sort of get out of it, really. I could, but it was just too difficult to make a decision, and I wanted to sort of be of help as well. So it just ended up me sort of being completely drained. And what little breaks I did have, like at night time when to try and sleep, and there was just very little time to recover. I did try and take little pockets of space here and there where I could. And I'm still getting used to sort of, I think there was a time where like I just stayed in the car and just closed my eyes and rested for the time. Some of the family went for coffee. They met up with some more family for coffee, and I just stayed in the car for maybe an hour and a half. I just sort of just rested my eyes, and I just couldn't sort of take any more conversation or being able to listen to conversation. So at times I did what I could to try and manage. And I got back sort of yesterday lunchtime, and so I'm still in that sort of recovery stage. I told myself today just try and have a stress-free day as possible. So I've got to do laundry, but I'm putting that off till tomorrow. I'm trying to sort of maximize recovery for today. There's a support group meeting that's on this afternoon, but I've decided not to go, even though part of me wants to. But I think I just really need to have no sort of social interaction and just rest as much as I can, because I'm probably gonna be here till today is Friday, and I'm probably gonna go back Tuesday. So back into that sort of environment and lots of stimulation and and I think it's going to take time for others to get used to my needs as well. When I was in the sort of a family environment, two people having a conversation, and then one voice was really loud, and I immediately just had to sort of, it felt really awkward just because I only had sat down, I'd pick up my tea and then just sort of walk out the room. And there was acknowledgement there, and I think even an apology saying, oh sorry, my voice was loud. And I think on my way out, I can't remember if it was on my way out or when I saw them next, I said, oh no, it's fine, it's not, I was trying to say it's not your problem, it's mine in a sense. It's my I shouldn't have to have people sort of adapt to, I want them to sort of be themselves. And yes, there's always room for consideration, but I think that was just a natural conversation happening, and it was just immediately too much for me. At that stage I was already kind of burned out from the prior days of being sort of without rest and without solitude. And I think there's other situations where I think I was just being overstimulated, sensory, especially listening, and I needed to get out of there, and I just couldn't, which was it's a really horrible feeling. Like there's a complete awareness that, okay, this is really, I don't know if damaging is a too harsh a word to use, but like it was just almost unbearable, and I could feel the strain, and and it just, I was just so paralyzed. And I think I was waiting for like a break in the conversation, and it just takes a lot to, even if it's not a big deal, when I have said it in the past that, I'm just going to get some fresh air, or I just need a few moments or something, and then, but to build up to that stage is so difficult for me, and maybe for the moment just accept that's how it is. Like even in the moment I kind of had that inner dialogue, like, why is this so hard, and why can't I just sort of stand up and say, I'm gonna, go outside for a little while, get some fresh air. And when I eventually did sort of stand up, and I was able to give a short explanation to say I just need a bit of quiet time, I think I might have said, but yeah, so it doesn't feel like it gets any easier at the moment. Maybe it will, with habit and things, just especially around the same sort of people, where maybe something will build in a good way, like a foundation of expectation, like when I do leave the room, and then there's maybe less of an explanation needed, or when I do take more breaks from people. I think I notice as well, just coming back here, it just feels like I have to get used to being in my own space again after 3 or 4 days of that not being the case. And I think I'm struggling with just the aspect of change as well. Now I'm back here, and now just to get sort of recalibrated to being in my own space again, it just feels like it's taking a while to kind of register that and soak it in, and get settled. So yeah, there's noticing of that as well. Even though I'm quite sleep deprived, I did feel a little bit more rested this morning, and I think I was grateful to sort of wake up and not have to like deal with social interaction, just realizing that I could just sort of lay here and I don't have to sort of just have that really brief reprieve from that stuff. I was just thinking how to manage today. I thought, I guess, do less as possible, which makes things easier, because I was thinking I do need groceries, and then I was just thinking, how can I get myself outside, because it felt like if I had to go out today, it would be a huge challenge to build myself up to do that. And then it allowed me to kind of make things easy, and I thought, okay, let's do things as less stressful as possible, so maybe I can save that for tomorrow, and I hope it's not too much for me. So that's where the pre-packed grains and lentils came in. I've been in my cabinet for quite a while, to make use of that. I've downloaded a series that's quite like a feel good series, and it's not too heavy, so that might be really good to just watch today. yeah, part of me thought about whether doing just 10 minutes of writing, like setting a timer, or doing some tarot. And I'm just maybe feeling out whether that's too much for me to do, or whether it's healthy for me to try and do that, or just that I just maybe completely rest and only do things that bring any sort of excitement or enjoyment to want to engage in it today, but maybe just to generally rest as much as I can. I wasn't able to shower today, which was okay, I guess. It's really cold at the moment, so that also makes it extra challenging, and I had a struggle to kind of get up. So my day was getting sort of later and later, and that's always a huge hurdle for me to shower if the day kind of gets away, and I sort of didn't really have anything to eat for breakfast because I didn't have anything to have really. I didn't have any bread, or usually I have porridge on a good day, or cereal, and I didn't really have any oat milk. So so things were, I think having lunch, that just helped settle me a little bit, just to think, okay, I kind of sometimes navigate my day around food a little bit, like, and bedtime. So I'm thinking, okay, now I've got this from now until sort of dinner time. Maybe I could watch some of that series and then have dinner. Thankfully I brought some pasta back with me from that was given, so that was, I didn't feel like having it yesterday, but I think I can have it today. Like, my appetite's been really sort of up and down with food. It's really tricky as well, especially now in situations where I can't be picky. If I, for example, I only have like pasta in my fridge. If I didn't feel I had the appetite for that, there was probably like not a huge amount of options really. So that's just one thing to note. Kind of wishing I recorded yesterday, because I felt like I was in the space to record. Like now I can feel myself being super drained and maybe not wanting to record, so maybe I'll sort of end this earlier than I thought I would. Reading's still really difficult for me. Like, I've got 2 books from the library, and I've also got a bunch of books that I've just been bought from previous times, and and I'm trying to be sort of accepting of that, not thinking I should, why shouldn't that I should have the thirst to read or the capacity to read, and it's kind of accepting that, that's just, that flow is not there right now. There's not the capacity to do that. So it's hard for my mind to accept that. So I think a much needed day of rest. One thing to note, I guess, I was sort of openly stimming a bit more when I was with family. Like, my sort of, what happens naturally is I tend to, even in this video, I've done it many times, like I'll just be some sort of touching of the head or rubbing of the head a little bit if I'm really feeling quite stressed, or and sort of maybe covering up my mouth a little bit as well, quite a lot. So I was kind of, I think I was so overtaxed, so it came to a point where that became more prevalent, and there was less of a filter for that, just because it was so intense for me. One thing I covered in my counselling session this week that's worth noting here, what's worth kind of re-acknowledging is just we focused on how I can try and communicate my needs or just recognize my needs. And so that's something that was useful, and hopefully I can sort of continue that work in future sessions. I think that would be really useful, just to get used to that and sort of used to sort of communicating what I need and not having to over explain. So maybe that will come together on its own. It's really strange. I do feel a little bit like getting used to just being on my own again. It feels like such a contrast of being sort of around people and then suddenly on my own. So it reminded me of a video I saw where this woman was explaining what she does when she's in the family home and she just doesn't want a conversation. She put on her like headphones, and that's a sign that sort of don't talk to me, don't engage in me, and I need some quiet time. And so I wonder if that's something I could use in that environment to kind of help stuff, really, because naturally everyone's so sociable that kind of what seems to happen is like I'm always on call for conversation. Like I'll come in and say something when I wish I could sort of display like, hey, I'm on like this amount of energy and I've got the rest of the day to go. I need some time to recoup. But obviously if you're always available and always there, it's kind of like conversations kind of get picked up constantly, and then things are sort of said to me because I'm there. And maybe the headphones might help, because then it may interrupt that pattern of like lots of talking, where even though I'm there and present, I think, oh no, they've got their headphones on, and it's understood not to sort of, that person doesn't want to engage in conversation. So I'm wondering how that could be a possibility. Because I've used it in the past, especially when I've been either in a cafe or a situation. That's just something to think about more, maybe, of utilising like what I already have and tools. And I think I definitely need to do something, because I can't just, it doesn't feel like it's practical to sort of constantly keep going into like an empty room and just trying to get some recovery time. So I thought maybe headphones could be useful. So I'm feeling really exhausted right now. I'm just trying to think what I've actually said in this vlog. So just gonna watch some stuff and see how the rest of the day goes.